Some people just don't want to put down the Tearlaments. Don't be like the 30% of you that are not. Smash the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out more Oz content. We're going to be looking at next play's tournament for new format for the OCG, and this is going to be synchronizing us with them effectively here, kind of showcase some of the things. So the first thing you're going to notice on this pie chart here is, yes, that is Tearlaments with 4 representation in the event. Players don't want to let this deck go. They want to hold on to this, and they actually want to have the chance to see what this deck can do. Now, as we talked about on our last breakdown, we did know that Super Heavy Samurais were going to be holding on. The entire, that whole archetype is busted now. All right, and we'll be seeing that here in the TCG here soon. Same thing with Purrely domination. If you're one of the people that keeps commenting, the OCG doesn't matter. Okay, well, then just wonder why, Purrely cards are going up. Just continue to smile in ignorant bliss. But that's okay. We also see that Vanquished Soul down here had 4 players. Now, as of late, I still swear that I thought the food archetype would be the one to come through. I thought that we would see, Transcendric be the one, but no, this was the Versus archetype. It really exceeded my expectations, and I'm happy that it's doing good. Sky Striker's back. Kagari is at full swing. They have enough to put the deck, I think, maybe 1 to 2 cards off from being full power, which has definitely put Striker back in a very interesting place. We also have Hero. We also had 1 Spiral deck. Remember, they still have Master Plan. They still get the chance to kind of showcase. I wish we could have Master Plan back. Real talk, real talk. Come over here. Master Plan's not that broken. You can let the TCG have 1 and let us have some fun with the full combo deck. We also had some Eldritch, Despia. We have good old Unicorn.deck, aka the Shambles of Kashtira, still doing its thing. I also see that we have some Code Talkers, some Evil Eye, some Runic, still doing its thing. We had Flunder, Minkanko, Marincess. Your entire, I know I missed a couple there, your entire flow chart here for like the different decks that were available in the top cut for this is awesome. And this should give you a little bit of an idea once, the TCG goes through its next cycle, once we get to the next set here. Some things that you're going to want to keep an eye on here. Once again, Versus is looking pretty good. Now, your top cut here is kind of interesting. The whole flow chart's off by 1, but I found that a little bit interesting. I don't know if something got DQ'd or whatnot, but for their top cut, out of all of those Tearlaments decks, 2 of them made it into top cut. I don't know how I feel about that. I understand that they want this. They just want to keep playing waifus, man. Like, you have waifu and cute here, and then I guess badass up here. We also had 2 Sky Strikers. Once again, Sky Strikers at that full power, getting the chance to do things, absolutely amazing. And then, of course, Purrely. Purrely did go undefeated for this tournament, which definitely, once again, showcases the power of Nor and how annoying it can be. Hope you got your Exceed Encores ready for that. And then Vanquished Soul steps back up into the light here, locking down a top cut for this as well. So I think your top cut of this event, extremely diverse, a lot of good things going on here in the back. Now, your first top 8 deck list here is none other than Purrely. Now, if you haven't been keeping up, or you just been like, I don't care about this rubbish, stop making content. Yeah, sorry, I had to get that out of my system. The second Purrely monster adds into the equation here, which gives this deck a whole... When you can up your Purrely count to 6, it's mind-boggling how good it becomes. Now, do keep in mind here that instead of playing Volcanic Shell, this build has opted to play Brow, in a mini Shaddoll package in here, which technically 2 of these cards do give you draw power, which is incredibly strong, right? Like, the big thing is you want to be able to net as much advantage as you can off of these cards to get your engine going. Draw is always going to be really good. And I see that draw has become a little bit more of a trend here as well. With the 1 crossout designator, yeah, they still have to deal with crossout being limited to 1. I also see that we're playing the Azalea in the extra deck, which is fine. They still have to deal with Red Reboot. But we are focusing on Evenly's down here. One of the big things that I've heard that carries this deck in the OCG is honestly the fact that Zeus is just like a game ender. Like, Zeus touching down, unloading all of its material, usually puts you in an extremely good position. So, very, very curious to see kind of going forward here, if this will continue on being the better deck. Next up here, we have Sky Striker. So what were you really expecting out of Sky Striker? Well, the first thing you're going to notice here is we are playing Spellbook of Judgment. You know, I will say that having the ability to just draw all of these spell cards, all of these filtering options through your deck, setting up, you know, just draw power at the base. You don't even play Spellbook of Fate because this deck doesn't care. It just wants to use Spellbook of Judgment to filter through all of these options to put as many spells in the graveyard as you can. Now, do keep in mind they do have triple Upstart Goblin, which is kind of nice. I wish we had, you know, some absurdities like that, but they're not even opting for it. Now, because of Bysteel limitations, even though Bysteel's kind of should be falling out of the format here at this stage in the OCG, we are only playing 1 Ray and 1 Rose in terms of the metagame, I guess, changes for this. Down in your extra deck, I mean, we are going to play the 1 Azalea. 1 kinda is fine. We're playing to Hark for free extension chicken nuggies. We are also packing in some DD Crows in the side deck. Pankratops is also kind of nice to see. And of course, Talents, Change of Heart. A lot of power cards here, I feel like, to kind of counteract a lot of your metagame. So, very happy to see here that the developments for Sky Striker look pretty interesting. Next up here, we have Tearlaments. This is a pile. I just want to let you know that based on all the limitations this deck has, they have 1 field spell, 1 of each of the pieces. We're playing Foolish Burial to drop to do a fusion. They do have Global back, which is fine, and they also do have Chaos Ruler. Technically, Chaos Ruler being able to be made and being able to toggle up, you know, do a top 5 sift, see what advantage you can get is kind of cool. I mean, you have Destrudo and things. I also think that this build is playing 2 Chicken Game. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that Chicken Game does kind of open up some interesting doors for this, because it's basically just going to be a, hey, you can pay life points or pop the card. It'll give this deck a little bit of time to stall. They also still do have Fairy Tale Snow, which also gives them a lot of different filtering options. But the way that this deck has been left in its current state, I mean, you're playing the 1 Fenrir to also search for the Tearlaments Cash Tira as well, but like, they're not playing the Unicorn, they're not playing any of the other cards besides, you know, Raceloth, and that's really it, because Raceloth at least searches for the Fenrir with searches for the Tearlaments so that you can continue to play the game. The state that this deck is in is so much in shambles. Also have the 1 skill drain. I see that we are playing the 1 Secret Village down there as well, but man, this deck is not in a good place. And the last as we have for you here was another Purrely list. Now, this is gonna... You are going to see differences between this and the first place list. One, they stripped out the Dark World package, which once again, we've seen the Dark World package actually kind of do things. It's not the first time or like the strangest thing that you should hear, seeing that those particulars are actually doing the thing. I also see that we are focusing on some Dark Ruler No More in there, which is actually kind of nice. I will tell you that having access to Dark Ruler No More in this deck is pretty good. Now, one thing down here that this build is playing over the other build is the fact that we have the Vanity's Fiend in here, which if you've seen some of the feature matches that we've covered with Purrely, you'll definitely see the fact that a Vanity's Fiend coming down just after you do all of your Purrely plays, if you're sitting on the Cat or the Nor plus the Vanity's Fiend, you're going to be in such a strong position, and that alone will win you free games. So that's like a very big thing to understand, is like Vanity's Fiend, yeah, you kind of got to filter into it or open it because you don't really have a way to toggle for it except for like Talons and stuff. But having that power card just available to you when it does come up in those matchups is really, really good. So that is your breakdown for the first OCG tournament, at least that we've seen so far for the new list. I assume that way more is to come. There's going to be a lot more interesting things. Nexus will be coming out here in a couple weeks, so getting ahead of the metagame, going to be very, very good. So please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you. Ugh.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.